You're listening to Soul Patrol Internet Radio. Soul Patrol Internet Radio. Welcome.
All right, this is Bob Davis. This is Bob Davis, and we're here at the Del East, reporting for SoulPatrol.net Radio. We're here at in Philadelphia, and we have a great honor to have a special guest with us. But before we introduce our special guest, I want to introduce you to some other brothers that we have here who are going to participate in this conversation.
My name is Lawrence Perry, and I'm associate with SoulPatrol.com.
My name is Mark Day. I'm Sugar's assistant, personal assistant.
Okay. Well, who's Sugar?
Sweet sticky thing. You did ask me, right?
Okay, so we have the legendary Mr. Sugarfoot from the Ohio Players, and you all know him, and you know he's the real deal, and he's going to give us the real deal here during this conversation. So first of all, you know, and we're going to go back in time, but first, why don't we just bring folks up to date, Sugar, in terms of, there's been a lot of rumors that have been flying around about your health.
Yeah.
Can you tell our audience a little something about what the current status is of your health?
Current status of my health is I'm alive and looking in your face.
Okay.
And I think you're a good judge of my health. Look me in my eyes and tell me that I'm not all right. You know, but yeah, people are always talking about you.
Mm-hmm.
When you're an entertainer, a lot more people than me have died and come back. You know, and I haven't had one time that I've ever died. You know.
Only once?
I'm not Jesus, but you know, I'm grateful that people are concerned about me and my life. But I'm here and I'm fine, and I thank the people that do care. But I'm fine. You know, people are spreading that legend for reasons of their own.
Okay. Okay. So now let's back up off of that. Let's talk about what you are doing now as far as this tour and the Ohio Players and your role in 2010.
Well,
What's going on
to be
right
honest
now?
with you, that I took a leave of absence, as you would call it, for
Okay.
a couple of years. I needed it, and it was about me getting myself back together in lots of ways. But I'm back, and I'm better than I ever been. So we're still really talking about the same thing. What I'm going to do for the rest of my life is what you're asking me to me.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm going to do for the rest of my life is try to do what I always wanted to do in the first place, and that is to make that joyful noise unto the Lord.
All right.
That's
All right.
what I do.
So now let's go way back into time.
How far
So,
back you want to go?
Let's go. Tell us how the Ohio Players got started.
You know, we all come from different places. Most of the Ohio Players, since we're speaking, are gone. I'm sort of like the last one, I'm the last dragon here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad to be here. I mean, God has me here for a reason. I just have to deal with whatever that is. When it got started, it was 5 of us. And they were called the Untouchables back in the day. I wasn't in the group.
Okay.
So I know you've heard that line before, too, that Ohio Players and Untouchables. I was never an untouchable. I've always been the Ohio Players. They became the Ohio Players when I got here.
Okay.
And I introduced them to somebody who could play more than 3 chords. So they loved to play jazz back in the day. So we tried to play jazz. We was influenced by a lot of jazz people. Me, Miles Davis is my favorite hero.
All right.
And the Jazz Crusaders back in the day, you know, that was we wanted to sound like them. And we were one of the first groups to come out with horns.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back in the day, there were no keyboards, you know, and so we had guitars everywhere and horns. And Untouchables had horns, and they were bad, no doubt about it. But I'm not an untouchable. I finally touched them in a way that made their heart do the right thing. So that's how old I am. I go back so far, I forget every now and then who I am.
Okay. So were you playing it back at that point as the Untouchables transitioned into the Players? Were you playing the 12-string guitar then?
Yes. No, I wasn't playing it then. I had to make some money to buy that bad boy. I had a 6 and maybe 5s some nights. No, I didn't have it. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even invented back then.
Okay.
They invented that after the Ventures. I don't know if you know who the Ventures are. But it was a white group.
Yeah, the surf.
Yeah, they
surf
made
guys.
Walk, Don't Run.
Yeah.
Right.
They somehow they had one in the picture, and I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew no black people ever had one, so I immediately ran out and got me one of them, and just started shocking the people. And truthfully, the group started after I got me something weird looking. I said, everybody get something weird. So the trumpet player had a trumpet that put shot up in the air like that, like
Dizzy Gillespie.
Right.
you know what I'm saying? The whole group was based around wildness, believe it or not. Maybe too wild sometimes, but nevertheless, that was part of our thing. We all made our own clothes. As you can look, if you look back there, you'll see that. Wow, there was some wild clothes they was wearing. You know, hot pants and things way back then. I can't remember a lot of the things, you know, because it was so long ago. I've been doing this for about 40 years. And, you know, that's a long time. Some things you're asking me, I'm trying so hard to remember.
It's okay. Just tell us whatever you want to, because this is a conversation by which, you know, you other brothers can jump in here if you want to. Okay, so the 12-string guitar, that's something, as you said, we don't see black people doing. As a matter of fact,
You don't see them playing clubs?
you don't see them play. The only person we think of is Jimmy Page that does any kind of thing with 12-string guitars nowadays.
Well, I quit playing it because it was heavy. It weighed more than I did, for one thing. Almost, you know, like. And it was death on my shoulder, and I got tired of carrying it around. But that's not the reason why I quit playing guitar. I ended up with carpal tunnel in my hands and stuff. Since I did a lot of the writing, you know, and my voice was up front. I just said, I'm through playing that sucker. I'm tired of carrying that weight, you know what I mean? Even though I could play fairly decent, it got to be a burden to me. And I hate to say that about the thing that I love the most, but it did get to be a burden to me at one time.
Okay. Go ahead, man.
I wanted to ask you, with you being one of the last of the Mohicans and easily the most identifiable character as well as voice of the Ohio Players, how do you feel about the concurrent 2 bands running?
You mean the way we're doing it now?
Like you got Diamond over here.
Well, the way I feel about that is the same way the law feels about that, you know. I cannot stop people from making a living. I would not want to stop people from making a living, you know what I'm saying? And it happens to groups when they break up, you know, and people go their way and things happen like that. And people that made records together, everybody in the group is entitled to use the name. You know what I'm saying? That's the law. And I feel the same way the law is. You know, you can't stop someone from making a living. That's how it ends up being more than one group. And that's about the best as I can put that, you know. I don't have any hard feelings with anybody. I don't have no hard feelings with the guys at all, you know. But they did what they thought was right, and I'm doing what I think is right. And I feel better about what I'm doing, and I hope they feel better about what they're doing.
Sugar, do you have a website?
Why should I tell you? No, I'm just messing with you.
Don't tell me that.
I'm being invited again.
No, don't tell me. I don't really need to.
No. I'm just joking. I have a website through some other people.
Okay.
You know, you can find me on the internet. Just say Sugarfoot Ohio Players, and you got me.
Okay, cool.
And it's Trey Pierce is in charge of that. Trey Pierce is the bass player for us.
Okay.
And he's a person that put the band together for me to sound the way we sound, and I love it, brother. His brother's a fantastic bass player, Jack, and he's worked with all kinds of people. So many people I can't imagine had his records out with JoJo, I'm sorry. And yeah, he has all the hookups for me.
Okay. Let's do a little bit of nostalgia thing here. I want to throw out some song titles. I want you to tell me, you know, what you think about those songs.
Okay.
Okay.
If I can.
Okay. I think you can. I'm confident that you can. Okay. I'm gonna start with a song that I bet you that there's not too many people that ask you about. Valree is Love.
I was my woman.
Okay.
And she was the first high-bone yellow woman I'd ever had in my life. You know how we used to thirst for those things back in the day.
Okay.
And she was extremely good-looking to me. And I wrote the song because in every word I said in the song, I really felt that. As a matter of fact, I really feel everything I say. You know, I think that's important that an artist know what he's talking about. And she was a great part of my life. But then one day she broke my heart, and I had to get back to reality. you know.
Because that was a real serious, because I was in high school.
I've never done that on the show, man. I've never done the song on the show because it was so personal that I didn't think people would understand what I was trying to say about that.
I was a horny teenager at that time, and I was like, I was one to push him up against the wall.
Right. Bump and grind. Yeah, I remember that.
That's right.
But I'm glad to hear that you like that song.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
because I never thought that people really liked that song because it was so personal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good, it's beautiful too. I would throw out there Walt's first trip.
Oh, that was another person with me, which is Junior Morrison. And he was see, let me explain something to you. The Ohio Players hired singer after singer after singer, and they all would go off and run off and leave. As soon as we made a record or something, they felt like they were somebody, they run off and leave us. I was in the band, man. I used to play with my back to the audience because I wasn't that important. So when he felt like he was ready to go, he up and left, and then left us without anybody to do the job of singing. Me, with this horrible voice that I do have, said, man, I am not afraid to do this. We're going to do this, and we ain't going to never hire nobody else. And ever since that day, they've had to deal with me.
Wow.
And so I thank all of them for that. Everybody that's ever left me feeling better and in better shape, even the women. You know, if someone is not any good for you, then get away from them.
Yep.
So I'm here.
So what's Walt's first? It's an instrumental. It's a slam and
Oh, he
slow
wrote that. He could play, Jack. He's a bad boy. He deserved to be an Ohio player. Everybody that's ever been an Ohio player deserved to be one. We play. If you ain't playing, you don't belong here. We don't.
Well, we know Junie. We know him. He lives in California now, I think.
No, he's in Chicago.
He's in Chicago now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so...
Me and him wrote a lot of that together. You know, because as a matter of fact, if y'all were really listening, y'all would know that I snuck my little voice in there on some of the stuff like Pain,
Yeah.
Pleasure. I was singing on the album, but I wasn't the main singer. See, so but when he left, everybody was convinced, oh, you can do it, you can do it. So
Now let's talk about Pain for a minute, because Pain is
my favorite subject.
Pain, I mean, that song is just so awesome.
Did you see the girl on the cover?
Of course.
So was she awesome. Caused a real pain in my heart.
Pain,
That was
You
bad.
know, Pain is easily one of the baddest funk tunes ever. There's never been nothing like it before or since.
I'm glad to hear you say it. I think y'all just doing that because I'm here.
No, because I'm a musician. There's the jazz interlude, there's
Right,
a
right,
funk,
'cause I
there's
love
a
jazz.
nasty shake your butt interlude,
Right.
you know what I mean?
I've always wanted this group to be the kind of group that had intellect, not just stupidity, bump, 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 bump. I want y'all to know how to play scales. I want y'all to know what harmony is. I want y'all to know about melodies. I want y'all to understand that music is something that I work to learn how to play. And for that reason alone, rap music kind of disturbs me. You know, because what happened to my music? You know, kids today don't learn music because there's none for them to learn
can't play
except the
an
old school. How long do you think we got left old school? Because I'm part of it. You know what I'm saying?
And speaking of this performance side of things, I don't know if you know or have heard or throughout all these years you've heard these rumors or whatever. You guys in the studio produced veritable masterpieces. Honey, Pleasure, Pain, Ecstasy. These are all nasty.
I know you're not going to ever believe it. We made up most of those things in the studio. There was no writing of songs. We played something that was funky. We said, we're going to keep that track right there. And then I started singing to it, and I mixed in the horns, and a lot of things came about like that. It was sort of our style of dealing with this, because we were from the hood. We didn't know anything about how the techniques and all that. So we created our own technique for recording. That's why our records didn't sound like other people's records, because we created what we were doing ourselves. To me, and that's, you know, that makes us have our identity.
But for some reason, live, a lot of times, the performance suffered. Or at
Right.
least, why do you think that was?
Because, you know, when something is not real, it's just not real. You know, ain't nothing like the real thing. You know what I'm saying?
That's a real
And I'm telling the kids today, if they ask me about this, y'all got to quit that jiving around. Either you play or you don't. You know, you can't steal somebody's music and expect to call yourself a player, because you ain't no player. Well, that's just the truth. You know, our kids today need to know, if y'all want to learn some music, learn some music. Anybody can talk But don't talk me to death. Sing me to death. You know.
2 songs.
Just the music director.
Yeah, that's Mr. Pierce right there.
Mr. Pierce, Bob Davis, Soul Patrol.
My heart in my life, right?
A piece of your heart.
My heart.
Gotcha. 2 songs. Again, these are, you know, the most obvious songs that people would ask about from Ohio Players and Fire and Love Rollercoaster and all that. But, you know, I'm kind of like, tell me about Far East Mississippi.
Well, as you were saying, you know, I do have a connection to everything. One thing you need to know, though, is I played harmonica on Far East Mississippi. Yes, as you hear that little dog barking in the back, that's me playing harmonica. Oh, it's whooping like I used to play harmonica. I used to play that when I first started off. But Far East Mississippi was wrote by me because I was in Mississippi jacking there. I thought about talking to a person of a different color, and I had little difficulties with it, you know. So I said, you know, I think I write a song about the difficulties that we have with dealing with Mississippi. And you know, they don't stand for no jiving, they don't stand for no conniving. You better be stepping, you know, when you come through Mississippi, because you know, there was a day right after slavery almost. You know, I'm just telling you the truth about why I wrote the song. It has a lot to do with the fact of slavery.
I love that song, man.
I do too. I think it is jazzy, progressive, and unusual. That's what I think.
Tell me about the song Ohio.
But you want to say Philadelphia?
But it's one of those joints. It's like when Sly and the Family Stone said, "Sing a simple song."
Right.
And what were the lyrics? Yeah. So the lyrical content is like, it's just a stank jam, you know.
It takes you away because it's a chant.
And that takes us back to Africa, man.
Yes, and I take, you know, you got it right there. You know? This music today is about chanting. You know, you listen to this music called rap. That ain't jungle bunny. Jungle music. You know what I'm saying? It's a very close similar there. You know, like the Indian. Ohio was that was the Indian chant. Hey ha. All that was chanting.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. See, when you think about this, you understand that everything I did had a reason for doing it. And I was into a lot of heavy things when I was younger, like mysticism, magic, things, you know.
I see your symbolism. I'm walking with you.
Yes, because I had studied Egypt. I like Egypt more. I don't want to get deep about those things, but I do know how I feel certain truths, and I wear those truths around my neck and on my body. Hope. You know. That star, this star, plus the other star makes a real interesting connection here, you know, like one's male and one's female, in one sense. But people don't look at it like that, so I'm trying to tell them something, you know. There's a reason why things are the way they are. Y'all should learn to stop and listen to these things, and you might learn something, you know. And, if I could ask you right now, which came first, darkness or light, what would you say?
Me.
Well, darkness is here. Ain't no doubt about it. In the Bible it says, "Let there be light." See, people. I don't know why they make such things so complicated when things are so easy. And I don't want to carry you into a metaphysical conversation.
But that's all right, because obviously those are the things that help influence your writing and your composition, which will lead me to this. What kind of overall mood would you say you guys were in for the Honey album? Because that Honey album, for me, is very unique.
Well, let me tell you this. That's a good question, because that one we had a little money at times. See, some records we didn't have no money, and some records we did have money. And the way you feel when you got money is much different than the way you feel when you having pain.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Okay. You're having pain. Then we got a little ecstasy. Then, boy, you know, there was a little, and it kept on growing. It kept on until we got to where we are. Right? So you got this, boy. And I've had so many records, you know, that people have never heard. Believe me, I do. They just.
I can't wait.
Yeah, because record companies, man, come and go on you as an artist. You know, they pick through your music and take out what they like and put that out. The rest of your music just push it aside. Then as the years go on, they find a hole where they can make money when you ain't around. They do that. You know, you're more valuable dead than you are alive.
So let's talk about that for a second, okay? A lot of Ohio Players fans know that, you know, back in the day, you were on Westbound Records.
Yes, sir.
And then you went to Mercury Records.
Yes, sir.
And it sounded like the sound changed a little bit in
Yes,
there.
it did.
But, you know, tell us about that transition. It was went from Westbound to Mercury.
Well, from Westbound fired us because they took Junior Morrison.
Mm-hmm.
They took him and said to hell with us. So we didn't have a choice. We had to go somewhere. So we went to Mercury.
Okay.
And when we got to Mercury, there was a great respect that was different. And things changed. Chuck was in charge then, you know, Chucky, me. And let me out the cage for a minute. And so I got a chance to express myself in ways that I never had a chance to do that. You know, and I want to be free. It's one of those things. Just keep listening to that. And I really was not about a woman. It was about my bass player. He was the most painful thing in my life. And I wanted to get rid of him, but at the time I was standing in front of a mic and I knew I couldn't just discuss him. So I said, girl, you know, I want to be free. And to get it back to where the people could understand it. But it really did have deeper undertones.
Some nice drum stuff in there.
Yeah, he was, Diamond was a drummer, and he still plays, you know that. And he was a very good drummer in those days, very good. And he came up with this unusual, he was jazzy, man, that's what I've been looking for. You know, he was like God sent to us to play the kind of music that I've been wanting to play. So we had a drummer before him. The drummer on Pain is not Diamond.
Oh,
The drummer on Pleasure is not Diamond.
Oh,
Diamond didn't start to groove until Skin Tight.
get out.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
So people don't know that, but I'm here to tell you that. If you look on the album cover, you will know that.
Be free.
Yeah. And me and the brother were so cool, you know, back in those days. Me and him was just like, I got you. You can't do nothing I can't do faster. You know, get faster. I'll show you how to get it done. And I started introducing chords and scales to them on a level that pretty soon some of the guys came around, some of them did. You know, that's all I can say.
Okay.
Do you read
Read what?
music? Formally speaking.
No, I do not.
Okay. All right.
But I studied music.
Ah,
You know, there are different ways to do music without reading it.
You got that right.
But I'm a self-taught person, period. I'm a self-made man. I want to stay that way, and I want people to get out of my way and let me be free. I just want to be free to do what I
You're doing a
want.
wonderful job. I ain't in there. I
You know,
mean,
some people think that I do, and some people think I don't. I don't care. They got a right to think anything they want because they're free. And that's all I want is an opportunity to do the same thing my way. And I think all of us want that. I just don't think it's just me. I think it's everybody.
Let's go back to the Westbound thing for a second. Now, when you guys were on Westbound, the Funkadelics were on the Westbound label.
Yes, they were, weren't they?
yeah.
Did you guys have any kind of rivalry?
Oh, yes, we did. Yeah, because, I don't know what to say, man. I can't talk about my buddies because they are my friends.
No, I'm sure
Over the
they are,
years,
yeah.
you know, I mean, you can be friends with somebody, and, you know, but on stage, I'm sorry, I'm your enemy. I'm your worst nightmare on stage if I can get to you. And that's the way I was when I was younger. All of us were. We were vicious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had a reputation for just get out the way.
Because their music and your music on Westbound, that stuff was something. That was something.
Funky music and competitive. You know what I mean? It's almost like we unlocked the door to funk.
That's right.
And I must say the Funkadelics has been the Funkadelics all their life.
Right.
I can't say that I created it,
Right.
but we did have a great influence on making people listen to it.
So then, here's the real question. This is the question that all the people from my generation always want to know. What happened? I mean, how do we, you know, where we were at as musically and as a people and everything, you know, just like Earth, Wind and Fire said, right, we really had our heads to the sky, like about 73.
Yeah, well, heads get older in the sky.
What happened?
Falls on us eventually.
I'd say technology.
But then
Some
the
of that.
technology, by the time we get to 1980, there's not that much difference in the technology in 1980 from
No, it isn't. But I
1973.
will tell you this, though. The digital aspect of music has really made it complex to the old timers.
Yes.
You know, because there was no digital recordings.
Right.
And because I had to deal with the razor blade around my neck, I used to wear the razor blade. People thought it was for other reasons, but it's really to do splicing. You know what I mean? If you know anything about it. Yeah, that's how you did it. So I was one of the best at doing this. So everybody in the band wore razor blades.
That's a lot of work.
Because I had made records by splicing. Not necessarily we played it for sure. But when somebody hit a note where he didn't like it,
Cut it out.
Right.
glue it back together, there it is. And that caused the Ohio Players not to be able to sound like their record sometimes, because they didn't originally play it. Now I'm asking a whole bunch of questions for you while I'm doing
You
it.
sure are.
And that's how that came about, you know. And I'm glad those days are over. We finally got to be digital. But to me, I miss those days.
It takes some of the
warmth, the
yeah.
realness, the reality, the right here in your hand, the Coca-Cola. You know, you can't, nothing like the real thing, Jack.
But-
And to this day, I still feel that way.
But I'm still going back there, because 1978, 1980, 1982, it's, looking back, we can see, oh damn, all the music just started going in the toilet
Yes, it did.
right about then.
And now they're flushing it.
Right. But how did that happen? I mean, like, the Ohio Players
Because we
disappeared.
all get older, and we all have children that come up underneath us that are, you know, we don't think the same way. Some things we did in those days, we are ashamed of when our kids grow up and have to look at us doing those things. Things make it, God, you know, working on us, man, you know, all the time. You know, my kids, now what the kids can do, man, I couldn't say kiss my nothing on the air when I was a kid. And I would say, no matter what people thought of my mannerism, I couldn't do those things. I just barely got away with saying it's hell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because people weren't allowed to say things like that. So I'm just as much as fault for what's going on in this world today as anybody else. But at least I got to say something. You know, and I wonder about that all the time, did I do the right thing? And I can tell you truthfully, as I sit here, sometimes I feel I didn't by saying those things. When I hear what the artists say today, I'm ashamed of what I led them to.
So, let's talk about today for a minute. You know, you're touring, you're doing shows on the road. It's, you know, I haven't heard the band yet, but you're telling me that the band is very good. So
I heard the band is slam. The band is.
Well, let's put it like this: they're real.
okay.
You know, and see, this is what I don't understand. Is like, you know, these people are scared of making mistakes. I am not. You know, because how can you never going to have the real thing if you don't have mistakes in it? Your life is not perfect. Your life is not perfect, and music is not perfect either. It has emotions, it has feelings, it has, I'm mad at you, I change on you in a minute, go that way. You know, but if you're going to listen to a tape, you're going to hear the same thing all the time.
To me, when you go to a show, it's supposed to be different. If it's not different, then why am I coming to the show?
I've had shows where I made some of the most beautiful mistakes you've ever seen in your life.
I've heard some of them.
You really have.
No, but they're cool because they worked out, because it's organic and it's your spirit being
the spirit
poured
I'm
into
trying to
it.
say.
That's exactly.
But see, that's part of it too. I mean, we you know,
That's
there's
what
a
happened
certain.
to our music. They took the spirit out of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because after them last albums, it's somebody like sucked the air
It took
out
my
of them.
spirit too, and I
Yes.
couldn't think of nothing else to say, man, because I can't go that way where y'all going with music. I just didn't have the heart. It just ain't. And to me right now, I wrestle with that.
So, what are your plans for the near term versus the longer term? Are you going to put out maybe a live DVD or an album?
I'm contemplating. People are asking me to do it again, you know, because of the hiatus that I took for a couple of years. And people talking about I'm dead and I'm this and I'm that and I'm those and all that. Basically, I was trying to survive, you know, in a place where I wasn't very happy. And now the future is, if God gives me the strength to make more recordings, make more music, do what I wanted to do all along, make that joyful noise.
Okay.
One question I wanted to ask: who is your or some of your major guitar influences?
Hey. Well, you know, you can't play for as long as I play without having a lot of them. But the ones that I love the most, Wes Montgomery.
Yeah, you got that.
You know, and the Django Reinhardt.
Yeah.
And Miles Davis's, I can't think of his name right off the band right now. But he was a white boy that played like lightning.
Yeah.
He's my favorite.
Okay. Larry Carlton.
Yeah, I like Larry Carlton.
John McLaughlin.
John McLaughlin.
Yeah. He
I
played the 12 string also.
Yeah, man, I love it, but he don't know that, but I truly love it. I still trying to reach out there and find out where he's at in my mind, you know. But yeah, it's just an interesting question you asked because I started off playing the blues with people that were much older than me, and I played harmonica like Jimmy Reed and played the guitar at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And so they kept messing with me all the time, calling me a tenderfoot, and some girl heard them calling me that and said, "No, he ain't no tenderfoot, he's a little sugarfoot." And the way she said it, just everybody in the audience just fell out, and I've never been able to get rid of it.
Is that where the name comes from? That's where the name comes from?
That's where the name comes from.
Okay. Well, you know, let's talk about the blues for a second.
Yes, let's do.
Let's talk about let's talk about the relationship between the blues and funk.
There's so many things I can say about it, you know, because blues was sort of us expressing our pain and our hurt back in the fields of slavery and back in the day, you know, we didn't have much else, man, but we could afford an old guitar and a little harmonica. That's all we could handle was that. They had pianos back then, but we couldn't even afford a piano. You know, horns, yeah, we might luckily one or two of us to get one, but basically guitar and was our instrument for the blues from the South. Don't make a mistake about it, you know, Muddy Waters, Jimmy Reed, all those kind of people, the legends are truly that, you know, and I am their child. You know, and the blues is my daddy.
All right. Because, you know, when we were talking about Far East Mississippi before,
yeah, I was right there.
It sounded to me like that is like some kind of like taking funk and blues to the next level where they rejoin each other in a different kind of way. You know, that's what that song sounds like to me.
Exactly what I was at.
All right. Because there's a song, and I can't call the name of it off the top of my head, with John Lee Hooker. John Lee Hooker does a funk joint where he does the same thing, kind of like from the other perspective.
Trey, excuse me. Trey, we're all going to do a sound check, right?
Yeah, they ain't ready for you.
Okay, but make sure I get to do at least one so I get this pipe. Okay.
Okay. We're going to hold you up too much longer, but I'm enjoying the conversation. Like I said, we like to have conversations with people.
I like to have conversations with intelligent people. You know, some days people around me, and you're a musician. Some of them can play, but they're not too bright. You know, they have the wrong things on their mind.
Right.
Okay.
And I was one of them. That's why I can tell you this, because I'm not ashamed of it. You know, I hate to be around people that can't face the truth. Y'all all guilty. You know. I mean, you're all guilty, because y'all played in joints where they had plenty of booze and women, and it was about that. The devil's den. You're all guilty. Don't tell me you didn't, you did. You know, so I did too. But I ain't ashamed of it, you know. People be talking to other men, I didn't do this, I didn't. Yes, you did. You know, they can quit jabbing me because I'm from the real old school.
Real old school.
You know, you don't have the shame about that because you know you can look at something that you've overcome and that we are in recovery from, because I come from that same background.
Yes, I'm sure you did. Tell about that. I don't even want to say that on the radio if I can tell about that. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, it's interesting, you know, we can be sitting here in 2010 to even be discussing any of this, because people, young people, they don't care.
No, it's like they don't have honor,
They actually don't care.
respect, tolerance, patience. They have none of the qualities that it takes to be a black person like we used to be. We used to have a reason why black power meant something. But what happened? I said, you know, what happened to all of that, man? Our kids today, man, don't forgot. What happened? Not that we need black power, but just that we had a reason, we had a cause to be something. You know, now we don't have nothing.
Him and I have that conversation all the time, I'm sorry. That part of the reason the music was so poignant and felt so good and connected to all of us is because we was all going through this thing together. You know what I mean? And when you said fire and skin tight, there was a reason that everybody got down like that, man.
I know, I'm just joking. But, you know, back in those days, we were quite violent. The Rangers, you know, the people.
Stone Rangers.
Yeah, man, I was all up in there, Jack. You know, I was wearing my little thing around my neck, little black power and stuff.
But I'm gonna tell you what happened is that somebody convinced the younger people that they didn't need any of that anymore. They were, you know, just like we were talking about freedom before. Somebody convinced them that they were free. And they actually believe that.
I'll tell you, TV and money. You know, kids that they believe what they see on TV, they believe that Hollywood crap. You know, and money allows some of the most weirdest dreams to come true. That's why it's the devil's.
Somebody convince them. See, it's like if you convince somebody, okay, well, you don't need this anymore. Oh yeah, okay, well here, like you said, I'll give you some money, and I'll give you some clothes, and I'll give you, here, let me take that other thing away from you, because you don't need that anymore.
Right.
And I'm giving you all the other stuff. Now you took it away from them.
Right. You don't have a struggle.
And they got no foundation.
Right, the struggle changed. We got a black president, and we don't know what to do with him. You know, we don't know what to tell him. We don't, and we're not trying to tell him anything. There's so much opposition to him. I know he's destined to fail because we are not behind him, Jack. Not like we should be after all we've been through. We need to be up in the rafters. If he just heard the voice of the people and could tune into us, you know. But he's got a job, got to tune into them too, you know. So I admire him for that, and I love America for allowing a chance for us all to be free, you know. But now that we are so-called got a president, we are still in chains.
Right. I told him that as great a time it is for black people, is no time to be black. Right, dude?
So now it makes it look like you did it once again.
Yep.
All of a sudden you're still at fault. You know, our president's being blamed for all the crap that was there before he even got there. You know, how long you think that's going to last? And then you got the nerve to have some black people that don't even want. Oh man, don't get me started, because I can't handle that. You know, that thing where we're not together.
Well, it's good to know that, you know, for us to know that you're still thinking about this kind of stuff, because this is really the most important thing. Our culture is the only thing we have.
No, I'm not political. I don't vote. Never have. Never.
It's not about politics. It's not about voting. It's about back then we walked tall,
right.
sky. We walked down the street. You couldn't tell us nothing.
Right. I had the biggest one you ever seen.
You couldn't tell us nothing, man.
Right.
Yeah, I remember your big deal. That's like a war.
And I'm proud to have it.
They took
You know,
all of
with
that
pride.
away from us.
No more
No,
family.
they didn't take that away from us. We took
We
that.
gave it away.
We gave it away.
Yes.
So here we are today.
And to me, we're sort of lost.
We're totally lost.
You know, the drugs have moved us to a point where we're really in bad shape. This new drug, you know, like this new drug, this crack, you know, like I ain't never saw one of us with a laboratory nowhere to make something, you know what I mean? Just to tell you the truth about it, we don't laboratory too good, you know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, that drug has caused a separation in the people. I guarantee it. And the women and men have a great, they don't have respect for each other no more. Boy, are we in trouble. When women and men, the very thing that gives us creation, has a problem, we got a serious problem. Our kids, man, don't come here with mamas and daddies. I got to say once again, maybe I'm the reason why things are the way they are, because I didn't ever have a mama and daddy either. I ran away from home when I was 14. So that makes me come from a generation that sort of like I had agreements about that, I had a thing about that all the time, but I don't have it anymore. But it's obvious that kids need parenting. Then the laws come around and say you can't hit your kid, you can't spank your kid, and kids just take that law and just run it to death. And you know, they're not going to change. The laws, man, are not just. I wonder, and probably get in trouble for this, if the Constitution was really intended for us.
It wasn't.
Well, then, well, that kind of solves all my problems. Now what I need next is a president to make sure that this Constitution gets changed so that it includes everybody in the world. Now, I'm not a politician, so don't take me wrong. I don't want to get into this thing, but, you know, I think that's some of our real problems as
Fair is
people.
fair. The Declaration of Independence, all men are created equal, starts out that way, right?
So it says.
And that leads you right up the wrong road.
Well, you've been misled ever since you've been here. And you're still being misled by a bigger fire. Money is kind of the ruler nowadays. Always has been, you know, but on the scale nowadays it's a much larger money. We got black people today that's got millions. You remember how hard it was for us to get $1 million? Back in the day, if you had $1,000, you was king of the neighborhood.
Oh,
You know what I mean? That's where I came from.
yeah.
But now, man, kids, little kids walking around with new Mercedes and talking that talk at the side of their neck, you know, and 40 ounces in the trunk, and you know, I don't understand that, man. I mean, I'm not trying to put them down, but boy, y'all need to
No, their whole thing is to do what they do and to not go anywhere with, like, all dressed up with nowhere to go. If we was doing that,
Right.
we would have had something to do.
And
we
I would
have music to play or whatever.
Okay, we're getting ready to wrap this up.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
I enjoyed talking to both of you fellas because it's the first intelligent conversation I've had in a long time.
No, don't say that. We know that's not true.
Because most people talk about music.
Can I ask something quickly, very quickly? What do you think of, or is the possibility of an evening, a tour of just you cats, a tour of an evening with the Ohio Players where we can really dig into these tunes that we're talking, not the trite and true that we know about that, but some of this other stuff that makes
You're asking me to go to work. and you're talking to the laziest man in the show business, you know. I use my brain to get where I want to get in life. I don't like to work. You know what I mean?
No, I hate
So you're asking me to go back and dig up all them old things and try to bring them back to reality again?
Oh, hell yeah.
I've suffered enough.
No. Hell yeah.
Just, if you're asking me, I'll tell you the truth, I've suffered enough. I don't mind playing a lot of my old music again, but it's too much for me to remember, and it's too hard for me to train everybody else how to even play. Most of the bands can't even play without them. It gets to be a problem, you know what I'm saying? But I don't mind. I just do what I know the people have. Yeah, right. You know, I mean,
you gotta work painstakingly to quiet them down, pocket them, make sure they don't, because they got all them chops, and they ain't.
I'm with him. I want to hear 19-minute
But we can
version
always
long.
talk.
Pain. I want to hear pain for 19
Well,
minutes.
but you know, we have. Well, you know, we got, those guys are gone. The guys that actually made that, so it'd be almost highly impossible for me to
That's
do.
a very valid point, and I guess I gotta keep it moving and give it up. But you need to know that there's a section of America, of Black America, that's just laying on y'all.
I'm glad they're laying. If they want to know the truth, keep laying. I do tell the truth.
You telling the
You
truth.
telling the truth.
And on that note, we're going to wrap things up. Thank you very much.
Can I violate it now?
You can. Okay. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, too.
I guess we're going to take a little picture, a couple pictures.
I got to go to work, man.
Okay.
Take a picture, but
You're listening to Soul Patrol Internet Radio. Soul Patrol Internet Radio. Welcome